Hi folks, and welcome back to the Q&A Indie Artist series. In this episode we talk to a guy called Anders. He's from Stockholm. His artist name is Osiris Dreams. He primarily does electro, synthwave, instrumentals with video. It's all very interesting. We had a great chat, so let's get into it and see what it's all about. So do you want to just tell us who you are as a person and who you are as an artist, and generally what you're up to, what you're doing?
My name is Anders. I'm in Stockholm, Sweden. My artist name is Osiris Dreams. And what I do, I usually describe as cinematic synthwave.
Yeah.
I would say I've gotten started quite recently. I released my first single in late 2022.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But have you been doing music a lot before that?
I have, but always as a hobby, and I never got around to actually releasing songs. I did release some songs on SoundCloud, but I've been doing mostly like melodic death metal up until now.
Okay, right.
I decided, growing up in the 80s, at least in Sweden, there was this huge divide between metal fans and synth fans, and you were either one or you were just one. You couldn't be both.
Right.
I was a metal fan growing up, and I started playing guitar, trying to learn to play guitar on an acoustic, maybe from age 12, 13 or something. Never got around to actually learning it until I got an electric guitar at 33. So then I started actually playing and recording. And I have a YouTube channel which does where I do like music production for beginners, basically. That's the tutorials for beginners. But I've also, when you got into the 90s and a little bit as a young adult, I realized you can actually listen to more genres than one. So I listened to a lot of synth, like Depeche Mode, Vangelis, Jean-Michel Jarre.
Yeah.
A lot of those. So I just decided I wanted to try also musically to express myself in something else. And I basically watched a tutorial on how to make synthwave on YouTube, and then I made my first song.
Cool, yeah. I did look at some of your stuff on YouTube and TikTok as well, and I see some of the clips, and it's all very visual, and there's a lot of visual stuff going on as well.
Yeah, I've always since it's the synthwave stuff is instrumental. I usually want there to be a theme or a story, and it's really hard to express in just an instrumental tune. So I think it needs its music video to go, and it's kind of obvious way to go with like retro computer graphics inspired kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I get quite a few instrumental tracks submitted through various platforms, and it is definitely, if there's a visual element to it in a video, it makes a lot of difference. It makes it much more engaging for someone to latch onto a little bit. Even if you're not listening to all the music, you're kind of watching what's going on. So what are you using in the way of using a DAW? You on synth, virtual synths or real synths?
No. I'm a software engineer. And a software architect, so for me it's quite natural to go into the software side of things. I've never been, even with guitars and metal, I've always used like amp synths from basically day one. I think I have one physical amplifier that I never use. So going into like synthwave, it was super obvious for me that I wouldn't become this hardware modular synth guy with big chords running through my studio, etc. So basically, I'm using Reaper, and then I downloaded Synth One, which is it's an emulation of a Nord Red something, and that was so that was my like entry point. And I also liked the kind of restriction it made into it kind of kept it retro because you can't. It has its restrictions. It also had a lot of patches that you could download to get.
And are you on PC or are you on Mac?
I'm on a Mac.
You are. How did you find that? Okay.
But that was also an easy switch because I was on Windows a couple of years ago using Reaper, and now it's Reaper on Mac. That's not in the DAW. That's not a big difference. It's also portable. You could basically run the same project on Windows and on Mac if you manage to get all of the plugins named correctly.
Yeah. And have you got a goal? Are you trying to get somewhere? You're going somewhere particular, or are you just churning out music for the fun of it?
That's a good question. I didn't have a goal at all. I'd released it. I was happily surprised that my wife actually liked songs I made. That was not so much the case in metal. I think she appreciated it, but that's not her kind of music. So that was fun.
Yeah.
And then my second single got, randomly added to a playlist on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So I logged into DistroKid, which I use for distribution,
Yeah.
and found like $200 worth of royalties, and I had no idea where they came from.
Okay.
Tracked them down to YouTube and looked up the song, and it had something like 135,000 plays.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
I think that's where a slightly higher ambition maybe started. It just seemed that you could actually get some traction. That would be fun. So then I started to put a bit more energy into it, and a little bit more thought into also how to promote it and stuff.
Yeah. And are you doing much in the way of promotion? Are you promoting it? Not at
all. I try to make an effort, like you said, for the visuals.
Yeah.
Maybe for a promotional text, but then it's basically Submit Hub and getting onto some playlists.
Yeah.
I have a full-time job, 3 kids, an old house, a couple of dogs, and it's the time for promotion is kind of scarce if you also want to make music.
Yeah, and it depends really where you want to go with it. I mean, promotion in a lot of cases nowadays just generally it might get more views, but does it lead to anything more than that? Maybe not really. It's difficult. I think, I see a lot of people getting really hung up about numbers. It's people who are actually playing it and like you say, getting revenue from it. That's where it really counts.
This is not going to be my livelihood. It's just an ego boost to see the numbers, so that's nice. But I'm not, I turned 50 this year, so I don't think the idea of going on tour, doing gigs, rehearsing, that stuff. I think I'm a bit past that, and that's fine. I'm really thankful for the internet now that you can actually get your music across without doing all of that kind of heavy lifting.
And you can do live sessions. You could do YouTube live, TikTok live, whatever. So you can actually do it sort of live anyway, and see how much attraction it gets. You might get a whole group of people, especially if you start doing something regularly. I think that's the key to live sessions, is doing it on a regular basis. People expect it to be there. So what's your main platform that you use? Do you use all social sites, or you favor one or the other?
I used to do Twitter mainly, but now that's an awful place, and I deleted my account maybe over a year ago. I think for promotion, YouTube is still Spotify and YouTube. None of them are actually really good my numbers aren't very good at either of them. I think YouTube should be my main platform, since I actually do make videos for the songs. So that should make sense to be there. I think Threads is lovely but that's more of a community between musicians, and that's not so much of a promotional channel.
No, that's right. And I've got well hooked into the Threads thing at the moment, although I'm a big fan of sort of Reddit at the moment as well, because I do a lot of work with Reddit. Got a couple of sizable subreddits on there, which is for sort of music marketing and a bit of music promotion and Spotify playlisting. In fact, that might be something. If you're on Spotify playlists, you're on some Spotify playlists, are you?
I am, but the big ones are usually like a limited time. So if you get accepted, you're like on them for 3 weeks or something. So, but I'm on a lot of smaller playlists, especially like the Threads ones, where the community ones. But I've also done a bit of promoting on Reddit, although I think I promote my tutorials channel more on Reddit than I promote my Synthwave songs, actually.
Yeah, I find it a strange place, Reddit. But it doesn't suit everyone. But I think if you use it correctly, treat it properly, you can get a little bit of interaction going. Yeah, some people just don't like it, So
there are good and bad parts of Reddit.
Oh, for sure, for sure. What I'm doing, obviously, I don't know if you've seen but I'm doing my website and that sort of stuff as well, where I try and post new artists, and I do things through Groover and a bit of Muso Soup. What's your sort of view on that sort of medium? As a website, do you think having your post with your image and a bit of bio and all the information on a website. Is that good for you, do you think?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, because there's different opinions about blogs and that sort of thing at the moment. Is that people say, "Oh, blogs are dead." I never intended it to be a blog. I just intended it to be a website to post people's music on. But it's sort of turned into a bit of a blog, just like multiples, different artists, different genres, and I sort of try and throw some other bits in there to get other attention. So maybe a few more well-known artists. If you put something of them on there as well, it gets traction from a different angle, and so people will naturally see maybe your stuff as well, or whoever's on there at the time. So, and do you approach people like that? Have you approached people to try and get that sort of thing?
Not really. That's something I should probably be doing. But like I said, time is a bit scarce usually for me.
Yeah.
But I think that would be a reasonable next step. Personally, I actually like blogs a lot. I like them, especially if you're looking for information of some kind. I would 9 out of 10 choose to read it over watching a video.
Yeah.
That's me who's doing tutorial videos, but still, that actually started out as a blog. So there's the tutorials channel is actually a blog turned into a YouTube channel.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine there's a bit of a niche in the style that you're doing. There'll be particular articles or bloggers or reviewers, whatever, who are definitely in that niche. I listen to quite a few of the tracks. There's definitely, I think, an angle there from what I've heard. Looking, because I looked at a lot of other websites and blogs, to try and look how I should present mine. I think there's definitely an avenue for stuff like you're doing on those places. But of course, the problem is always trying to find them and then get the message to them and get them to actually take it on, because I, even as small as I am doing what I'm doing, just as part-time really like you are, I just get inundated with emails and messages, and it's good because you want to try and help everyone, but there's just too much.
Yeah, that's maybe the other side of democratization of distribution, is that everybody can do it, so everybody does it.
Yeah,
I think still that's a better way, and going back to gatekeeping of like it was before, but
of the record labels and that sort of thing. Yeah. But it's sort of gone a little bit the other way now, in that there's so much coming in, so many people doing it. It's just hard to find out. Which brings me to another point. How do you feel about, because you're a solo artist, obviously, I guess. Yeah, I spoke about this with someone the other night on a similar thing. Really, I'm wondering, do you think in any way that you might be limited by not having interaction from any other collaborators or their opinion on a particular bit of music?
Absolutely.
You think so?
One of the biggest, of course. I think one of the biggest leaps, or some of the biggest leaps I've done in music, have been definitely connected to input from other people. I actually came into contact with a much more well-known synthwave musician on Threads, who just helped me out with the production a lot on the EP.
Yeah.
And that was a bit of harsh love.
Yeah.
But I can take it, and it was very, very, very constructive in the end, and it's helped the end product so much. But he would say stuff like, sounds like reverb on the drums. What the hell is this? And I was like, maybe there's a little. It's like, can't do it like that. You have to gate it. Come on, man, you have to gate the reverb.
Yeah.
Like, okay. And I upload it, and he's like, okay, we're getting somewhere. Cut it at 4K, 2 decibels at 4K, and then I post it back, and I'm like,
well, I think there's a lot to be said for that. I mean, I'm a big believer in letting someone else have an opinion at least, and maybe to some degree let them remix some of your stuff possibly, or have a go with it, because it's so difficult to get your own mind off what your music is all about, and to say, well, I don't want to veer off this road at all, but somebody else can hear something completely different to what you hear. And like you've said, they can open your eyes or your ears to something different. You may like it, you may not, but at least if you experience it, you can then make a decision and go, well, I don't like what that is, or I do like it. In your case, in one instance, it obviously sort of enlightened you a little bit.
Yeah, quite a lot, I would say. So, and also I said that you're giving me free advice that people charge a lot of money for. And he was like, nobody helped me out when I was starting. I'm trying to give back. So I'm trying to do the same. I don't think I can do kind of the same, production mentoring, but I'm trying to, contribute in other ways. I have a lot of experience with programming, with tech, with all of that stuff. So I try to help people out in the areas that are my expertise and actually my professional expertise.
Well, definitely. And, that's part of the reason I'm doing what I'm doing. I never intended to get into this at all, really. I was doing collaborations with other musicians. I was doing online collaborations, all sorts of things, like a little bit of production, a little bit of mixing. And I still do a little bit of that. But I just felt there's so many people trying to get themselves noticed a little bit more, in any way at all, and getting nowhere. And even now, you see it yourself every day on Threads. People's posting. I've posted 50 Instagram reels and I've got no followers and no views. What's going on? Now, clearly, if that's happening, something's wrong. Really, generally. But again, a lot of people don't like to hear what that wrong is. And,
I agree.
And I'm not a super expert in any of it, but I've done a couple of years now of this whole blog thing, and certainly from I know what I like to get from someone if they want me to post their song. I know, and I'll tell them time and time again. I need your bio, I need your press kit if you've got one, I need some high res images, I need some black and white images, I need all your links to your social media stuff, because that makes it much easier, much quicker for me to put it on the website. And I'm much more willing to do that. But if I've got to start trawling around their Instagram feed trying to find a picture, the other week somebody sent me, and I couldn't find a decent picture. So I went on their Instagram and I pulled a picture off and I just used it. And then they sent me a message saying, oh, would you mind changing that picture because it's me on my holidays and I don't really want to use that picture. I go, well, why didn't you just send me a picture that you do want to use then?
Yeah, I think there's something to be said for helping people understand what the hurdles are. That's certainly one. It's just, if you want like press, if you want coverage, then you should do prepare everything. There should be a package already. I don't have a package already, but I should have one.
Yeah.
And like you said, I think there's also a tricky part giving feedback. Like you said, if there's no traction at all, something is wrong, something is missing. Sometimes there's some of that feedback might be easier and some of it might be a lot harder. This kind of stuff, there are basics missing. That's maybe the easiest feedback. And then you can get into like technical things. Your production is missing elements. Your production, that's basically the feedback I got. Cool song, but it doesn't sound good. And in my experience, getting accepted to playlists is 99% production. The song is important, but it's 99% production. Once you get into like creative and performance feedback, then it gets really, really sensitive. It's really hard giving people feedback on how they sing,
because I think because I think a lot of people feel that you haven't got any credibility. What credentials have you got to tell anyone that their singing sounds bad? And they go, well, you haven't got any hit records. What do you know? And you think, well, okay, fine, but if I was doing something, like bad, I like to know. So I not often, but periodically, I put a little note out and I say, take a look at my website, tell me what you think. Do you think I should be doing something different? Would you like to see something different? Would you like it to look different, work differently? And I try and gauge some feedback from that. And if I get 3 or 4 people say, well, this bit shouldn't be here, I'd prefer, then I'll look at changing it. You've got to, haven't you?
Yeah. but you're also quite vulnerable when you put your heart into something, especially when you release a new song.
Yeah.
And at that moment, the feedback is going to hit you so much harder.
I think if you release something, I wouldn't be going looking for feedback in that sense. Once it's done, it's done, isn't it? And
yeah, but when you post it on Submit Hub, then you're getting feedback.
Well, yeah, yes. If you use somewhere like that, because that's what it's designed for, isn't it? It's the same with Groover.
I know.
I rarely give feedback in that sense on Groover because I accept now that the song is finished, it's out there, and I might possibly say, you could improve the loudness a little bit or the volume. Some songs are just clearly haven't been set up properly, and they are just too low. The whole volume is a bit low, and things like that. I might make a comment about that, but I've given up on saying about the actual content of the song because they can't change it really, can they? Unless they specifically ask. Some people specifically ask.
I actually always check the brutal feedback one because I know it's going to hit me, but I also know that the kind of feedback I've gotten has been really good for me. So I'm kind of, I know that I'm setting myself up for disappointment sometimes, but I also know I will recover from it and I learn from it.
Yeah,
and that's in the end is going to be better for me. So the latest song I did was rejected from one of the playlists I applied to, and it said this bass needs filtering, and I was like, I know, but I only heard it the day before it was going to be released on Spotify, and I just let that slide because I couldn't I couldn't find the energy to pull it off and then reposting it and waiting 2 more weeks, etc. But it's still like, okay, yeah, this is valid feedback. I should have done it. I should have done the work, but now it's there. Not gonna do. I don't think I'm gonna do it now, but I definitely learned something from that.
So, what do you think would sort of project you onto the next level? Where would you like to go next? And
the pace is so hard to set goals for because it's so random for me.
I mean, are you working on producing just more songs, or are you looking to improve the ones you do, improve them, make them better production like you talked about?
I think that those two are connected because the more in quantity, there's also, practice. There's, honing your skills and perfecting, but, improving your craftsmanship. I don't think you can do that strictly on a quality basis and just saying, okay, I'm going to release one single a year, and it's going to be so much. There's going to be so much improvement. I think you're going to have to do releases at some kind of interval because that's how you learn. So, but I think that for me, one thing that was something I wanted to do was to learn Blender and to do 3D like graphics for videos. So now I actually spend a lot of time on that instead of making music. So that's one of the things, because I still believe in this, this visual part of the songs. So I got kind of a huge leap there, and now I think the next step is leveling up my production skills. I know where the needs are for improvement. I can't actually do them yet, but I think I have some areas that I really want to, dive deeper into now.
Sure. And are you having songs mastered at all, or do you just produce them yourself and that's the end of it?
Yeah, pretty much. I think I'm having them mastered by using Isotope Ozone.
I've used that a lot.
And then referencing, reference A/B track referencing.
I think it's always worth. I've had a few tracks mastered by a couple of different people, and I think it's worth trying it once at least.
Yeah.
And just to understand what they've done against what you think you've done, and let's just see, how close you're getting to that, and that gives you a good reference point then.
Yes, I agree.
And it's not expensive, some of it's not expensive now. You can get mastering for like, I don't know, $30 or something.
Yeah. And at the rate I'm releasing, and that's definitely a sensible expense to have for each song, definitely.
So where are you going next? What's your next? You got a release coming soon?
I don't, but the family is going away without me for a week, so that could lead to music being produced
Yeah.
during that week, during next week. So who knows? I don't have a song. Basically, I made a video now that doesn't have a song, which might sound weird, but that's also a way for me to get creativity flowing.
Yeah, is
So
that something? I mean, do you put music to visuals rather than the other way around? Is that?
I actually put visuals to music mostly, but now I would like with the EP, I made the story first, and that was a big help in finding a couple of moods that I could use for the songs.
Yeah.
So that helped a lot, and then I made the visuals afterwards. But in this case, I have a video, but I think the latest release I did, somebody said put. Here's the trailer for the Formula One movie that Netflix is making. Put your song to it and see if it fits. And that was kind of the inspiration to make that song in a style that fits. So maybe I'm, who knows, maybe I'm moving towards the other way around now a little bit more.
Yeah.
He's trying it out.
And I see, like I said earlier, I see you've got a lot of bits and pieces on TikTok. It's weird how videos get traction on TikTok. Some get 20, 30,000 and then some get like 20. And you think, well, what's the difference? There is no difference, but there obviously is.
I have more success with my comments on TikTok than I do with my videos.
Really?
I made a comment on a video with a guy playing like drums in the wrong time signature, and I had that comment is at 21,000 likes now. My videos get about 800 views.
Yeah. Have you collaborated with anyone off Threads apart from the guy that you talked about earlier?
No, I haven't. That's something I'd really like to do, but again, that's something I would need to find time for. I think in a collaboration, I think most people wouldn't be content with collaboration which finishes when you find the time. I think you need to focus and you need to dedicate. When you're multiple people doing something.
Yes.
So I'm a little bit hesitant to commit to it because I don't know if I can live up to it.
Oh, I don't think too many people are that bothered. I mean, I've spoken to lots of people about collaborations, and lots of people have said, "Oh, but I don't think I'm good enough, and I'm not. It's not going to be very good." And I'm thinking, well, individually, a lot of people might not be so good, but that's the idea of a collaborative thing: is that you can bounce the ideas off each other as long as you're open to people's ideas, and you can make it good.
Yeah, but I think that a collaboration would probably be with someone who is not, another one of me. It would probably be vocals, or something that would really, add an element that isn't there in my music right now.
Have you used a site called Compose?
No.
KOMPOZ, and that's like there's a very wide range of people on there of different talents, but effectively it's people out there looking for collaborations. So they post their idea and they're looking for that. They'll say we're looking for a guitar, we're looking for vocal, we're looking whatever, and you have to filter through it. But there's some okay stuff on there.
I think there's also inspiration from just seeing what other people look for. Even that would be probably. I think that's another thing that I'm looking to do now is get guitars into the synthwave stuff. I've really struggled with it because I don't know, whatever I do, it has too much of modern metal in it that won't fit. I struggle somehow to just channel the 80s playing. Even if you just splash a heap of reverb on it, it still ends up being a little bit too aggressive, a little bit technical, a little bit too obviously not retro. So that's something I also would like to be able to do, to just integrate my guitar playing in the synthwaves.
Okay, well look, it's been great talking and getting to see who's doing what. I've only just looked at your material properly today, but I find it interesting, so I'm going to have another look into it.
I'm really, really grateful for all of any and all promotions I get, and